The movie begins in distant future, where humans have been overpowered by extraterrestrial, psychic parasites, known as souls. Encapsulated in individual capsules, the souls can travel from one planet to another in groups, where they are individually inserted in the body of a dominant species, which performs as a host for a soul. Once a soul is inserted, the species is referred to as an alien, and the soul completely replaces the consciousness of its host, though they are still able to access the host's memories. Occupied host can be identified by silver rings, which appear in the host's eyes. Among the rapidly conquering souls and the resulting aliens, some humans are still able to fight their occupation, and are compelled to hide in several caves, or mountains, in an attempt to avoid ending up being aliens. Melanie, one of the humans on run, gets surrounded by a group of aliens, while making an attempt to escape. She jumps out a window while running, and falls straight to the ground. When the group approaches her, they realize that she is still alive, and take her inside. The alien's doctor gives her a special alien medicine, which magically treats her wounds like she was never injured. This group of aliens is led by the woman, who is labeled as Seeker. Upon her instructions, the doctor begins Melanie's operations, and takes a new soul out of its capsule. He gently grabs the soul, and inserts it in Melanie's body. She regains consciousness, while completely replaced by the soul, and she now calls herself by the name Wanderer. Due to her recent medical treatment and soul transformation, she is allowed by Seeker to take some rest. She wakes up and glances in the mirror, when she surprisingly hears Melanie's voice, and realizes that Melanie's consciousness has not been eliminated completely, and that they can carry out an internal conversation with each other. After some time, Wanderer is brought to meet Seeker, who asks her to access Melanie's memories, in order to discover the location of a pocket of non-assimilated humans. Since Melanie is still conscious inside, she makes multiple efforts to convince Wanderer not to reveal her memories, but Wanderer still complies to Seeker's orders. According to the memories, Wanderer reveals that Melanie's father killed himself when the Seekers tried to capture him, because he never wanted to risk his family. Additionally, she reveals that Melanie ran away with her younger brother, Jamie, giving Seeker a hint that he is still somewhere outside. Later at night, Wanderer is seen carrying out a conversation with Melanie, forming something of a friendship with her. During her second attempt the following morning, Wanderer reveals that Melanie and her brother stayed in an abandoned place with Melanie's boyfriend, Jared. He was also successful in his run, and joined Melanie and Jamie to escape. Wanderer further shares with Seeker that they decided to travel in the desert to find Melanie's uncle, Jeb. One night, when Jared was out looking for supplies, the Seekers raided the place and surrounded Melanie, which is a reference to the first scene. She jumped out the window, but Jamie was still hiding inside. However, Wanderer doesn't reveal Jamie's location to Seeker, because Melanie's voice convinces her that they will kill her brother. Later, when Wanderer is outside in fresh air, Seeker surprisingly arrives in her car, giving the impression that she has been following Wanderer. She keeps asking her about more memories, but Wanderer doesn't reveal anything. When Seeker reveals that they have located Jared, Wanderer gets furious, and tries to stop her, but Seeker uses that alien medicine to beat her unconscious. Seeker realizes that Melanie is still present, and is trying to take control of her body. Since Melanie won't allow Wanderer to reveal further details, Seeker decides to be transferred into Melanie's body to get the information herself. They inform her that the transfer will happen tomorrow, before locking Wanderer in the room. Melanie manages to convince her about the threat, and assists her in escaping the room. She jumps into the pool from the room, and runs into the woods. She gently asks an old man for help, and takes his vehicle, which looks surprising to Melanie. She drives all night, and makes her way to the desert in the morning. When Wanderer resists to stop, Melanie takes control of her body, and crashes the vehicle. Wanderer survives the crash, but is now compelled to walk on foot through the desert. In the meantime, the aliens are trying to locate Wanderer, when Seeker finally locates her. She immediately travels to the desert location, but it's too late for her to find Wanderer. She is walking barefooted in the desert, and ends up unconscious in the morning. She is eventually found by Melanie's uncle Jeb, who helps her get back on her feet. When other humans show up, Kyle, one of the survivors, swiftly tries to kill her, but Jeb stops him, because she is his niece after all. However, the others are still in favor of killing her, because they think of her as just an alien, and that she's probably here with the intention of bringing other seekers down on their head. Jeb still takes her to a series of caves hidden inside a mountain, where the pocket of humans, including Jared and Jamie, is hiding. Wanderer's presence in the shelter is met with hostility by all but Jeb. Seeing this, Melanie instructs Wanderer not to tell anyone she is still alive, fearing that doing so would only provoke them. In the desert, Seeker and her team is looking for Wanderer, but they are unable to find any trace. Kyle once more returns with the intention of killing Wanderer, but Jared lands a punch as a result. Ian, one of Kyle's group members, begins to strangle her, but Uncle Jeb intervenes with his shotgun and saves her. Later, Wanderer has a conversation with Jamie, in which he asks her about Melanie. She reveals that Melanie tried to kill herself to save him, but the Seekers mended her and put her in Melanie's body. Ian, who tried to strangle her earlier, begins to feel that she is different than other Seekers and doesn't deserve to die. After some time, Uncle Jeb gives Wanderer a brief tour of the cave and takes her to a deadly whirlpool, where he asks her to take a bath on the other side. She spends some time in the bath and feels fresh like a human. After that, Jeb takes her to the cornfield they created inside the cave, which is far more surprising to Wanderer. As a response to her queries, he explains that they use mirrors and sunlight to harvest. During their conversation, Jeb expresses his certainty about Melanie being still alive inside Wanderer, because she always intended to care about her loved ones, which is what Wanderer is doing now. Wanderer is surprised by his claims, and talks to Melanie that he is a genius. Later, when Jamie is sitting with Wanderer, he asks her about Uncle Jeb's claims, because he was secretly listening to their conversation. Melanie allows her to tell Jamie the truth, in order to put his mind at ease. After learning the truth that Melanie is still alive inside, Jamie sobs in a burst of emotions, and gives her sister a comforting hug. In the meantime, Jared and some other humans leave the cave, in an attempt to bring some supplies. The Seeker leads a search party into the desert to find Wanderer, when they intercept the supply team. They retaliate with heavy fire, but the Seekers group is well defended with their high-tech gadgets. In the ensuing chase, two of the human resistance fighters commit suicide to avoid capture and conversion. Jared and Kyle try to escape, but they are also confronted by one of the souls. When they make an effort to take him hostage, Seeker fires at Jared, but accidentally kills the soul. As a result, her superiors end up against her, and call of the search for Wanderer. Back in the cave, Wanderer begins interacting with the humans, and participates in their harvest. Her beauty and humbleness grabs Ian's attention, and he begins forming a love bond with her. She also has lunch with the group, and slowly begins to gain their trust. Through this, she begins to sympathize with them, and describes souls to them. She explains that the souls have discovered life on 12 other planets, and that they live by bonding with other species. When a vengeful Jared and Kyle return to the cave, they try to kill Wanderer for the murders of other humans, causing Jamie to reveal that Melanie's consciousness is still alive in Wanderer. Ian decides to protect her, and takes her to his place in the cave. Jared still refuses to believe this, but attempts to determine the truth. He goes to Ian's place, and has a private conversation with Wanderer. Melanie asks her to tell him the truth, but she feels hesitant. Jared makes an attempt to kiss Wanderer, which provokes Melanie to slap him away. He finally realizes that Melanie is indeed still alive, because she would never let anyone else to kiss him. She runs away in hesitation, and sits beside the bath area. Kyle suddenly shows up from nowhere, and makes another attempt to kill Wanderer, but she knocks him into the deadly whirlpool. However, she still tries to help him, and screams for help, which grabs the attention of others. After Kyle's medical checkup, Jeb asks Wanderer about what happened back there, to which she claims that it was just an accident. However, Ian is convinced that Kyle attacked her, and she still saved his life. Wanderer is thankful to him for his support, and they go outside the cave for a walk. During their brief bonding moment, Ian expresses his feelings for her, and tells her that he loves her, insisting that Wanderer's own personality is what he loves, rather than Melanie's body. Wanderer admits that, while occupying Melanie's body, she must love Jared, but she has feelings of her own too. As a result, the two share a kiss, creating an unusual love triangle, 3 bodies and 4 minds. Sometime later, Wanderer enters the community's medical facility and discovers that the doctor has been experimenting with ways to remove souls and allow the host's mind to regain control, resulting in the deaths of many souls and hosts from his failed experiments. Traumatized, she rushes from the facility, screaming at a protesting Melanie to get out of her head. After isolating herself for several days, Wanderer learns that Jamie is critically ill with a high fever, an infection in his leg due to injuring himself with a knife. With the assistance of Jared, she travels to a nearby soul medical facility to steal some of their alien medicines. She cuts her hand with a knife, giving her a chance to enter the facility without suspicion. She distracts the doctor's attention and successfully steals multiple alien medicines. She returns to the cave with the medicine and treats Jamie's wound. Surprisingly, his wound completely vanishes, bringing him back to life. Wanderer now assists Jared and other humans to bring supplies from the supermarket, while the Seeker continues looking for Wanderer on her own. When they return from the market, Seeker confronts them with a gun. Luckily, Uncle Jeb appears from nowhere and shoots her with his shotgun. They still keep her alive with the alien medicine and imprison her in the cave. In order to evade the Seeker's threat once and for all, Wanderer offers to show the doctor the proper method of removing souls, on the condition that he remove her from Melanie's body and let her die. Doctor uses the technique to successfully remove Seeker from her host, with host and soul both surviving. Wanderer encapsulates Seeker's soul back in the capsule, because she wants to send it to a planet far enough from Earth that it cannot return within anyone's lifetime. Seeker finally wakes up as a human and reveals her real name as Lacey. Wanderer takes the Seeker alien to a soul space travel site, where she sends it to another planet as she intended. The plan is to continue freeing hosts and sending the souls to distant planets. After learning that Wanderer wants to die when she is removed, the humans are upset because they have formed a close bond with Wanderer. She then visits the medical facility because it's now time to remove Wanderer from Melanie's body. On the operating table, Melanie and Wanderer share an emotional farewell, in which Melanie requests her to stop because she doesn't need to kill herself, but Wanderer says that Melanie deserves to live with Jamie and others. In response, Melanie claims that she is the purest soul on Earth, despite not being a human, to which Wanderer sobs in a burst of emotions. After the operation, someone regains consciousness, while surrounded by others and also Melanie. It is revealed that, due to the intervention of the rest of the group, Doctor instead inserted Wanderer into Pet, a human who was left brain dead after the soul inside her was removed, thereby ensuring that Wanderer can live without harming a human. Pet is said to be petite and small, with a face that no one could mistrust. Now with a body of her own, she and Ian form a relationship, while Melanie is finally reunited with Jared. A few months later, while on a supply-gathering trip, Wanderer, Melanie, Ian, and Jared are captured by a group of Seekers. When a soul takes them hostage in a standoff, they discover that their captors are actually humans, who reveal that there are several other human groups as well. They also learn that the soul with this group has sided with the flourishing human resistance, as Wanderer has, and they may not be the last souls to do so.